On Thanksgiving, my father slammed his fist on the table and yelled, "You're a failure because you rejected our ways." My brother smirked, "You'll come crawling back when you have nothing left." My mother laughed, "Just admit you ruined your own life." I smiled, took a sip of my drink, and said, "Actually, I came here to tell you something important." The moment I showed them the paper in my hand, their jaws dropped. This happened last Thanksgiving in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm 28, female, and the black sheep of the family. Always have been. I'm writing this now because I'm still trying to process everything that led up to that night. And to be honest, part of me wants to get it off my chest. If anyone out there has been treated like they're nothing by their own family, you'll probably understand this more than anyone. Let me give you the background first. My family is the kind where everyone acts like everything is perfect even when it's clearly not. We went to church every Sunday, smiled in family photos, hosted barbecues for the neighbors, but behind closed doors, there was always this expectation. You were supposed to follow the plan. The plan was simple: get good grades, go to college, get married, buy a house nearby, have kids, go to the same church, live like them. My brother Mark followed that plan to the letter. He's 2 years older than me. He married his high school girlfriend, got a business degree, had a kid by 25, and now works for our uncle's insurance company. My parents worship the ground he walks on. He's the family success story. Then there's me. I wanted something different. I liked painting and photography. I liked old buildings and alleyways and stories that didn't end with a white picket fence. I didn't want to settle in Charleston, marry a guy from a youth group, and pretend that was enough. So I didn't. I moved out at 19. No real fight, just packed my stuff and left one day after another lecture from my dad about wasting my God-given potential. I got a small apartment in downtown Charleston, worked 2 jobs, barista and part-time gallery assistant, and kept working on my art in every free hour I had. For a while, I tried to keep the peace. I went to family events. I smiled. I avoided arguments. But over the years, things got worse. Every time I visited, I was met with sarcasm. Comments like, "Still playing artist?" or "Maybe if you'd gotten a real job, you wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck." My mom constantly dropped hints about marriage. My dad made it clear he thought I was embarrassing them. Mark would just smirk. He had that smug older brother attitude, like he was winning some competition I never agreed to be part of. He didn't have to say much. His look said it all. I distanced myself slowly, but I still showed up for Thanksgiving. That was the one thing I kept doing. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe because I still hoped they'd come around. Last Thanksgiving, I almost didn't go. I had a pit in my stomach for days leading up to it. But something told me I needed to. That year, dinner was at my parents' house, like always. The same old dining room. Same prayer before the meal. Same dishes: turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce out of the can, and my aunt's sweet potato casserole that no one actually liked. We sat down. I was placed at the far end of the table, next to the cousins nobody talked to. Typical. At first, things were quiet. My dad asked Mark about work. My mom cooed over pictures of his kids. My aunt brought up someone from church who got engaged. And then it started. My mom asked if I was still in that little apartment. I said yes. My dad asked if I was still messing around with paint. I said I was now working at a bigger gallery uptown. Mark laughed and asked if they paid me an exposure. My uncle muttered something about wasted potential, and my mom said, "You'll settle down one day. Hopefully before it's too late." I didn't respond. But then my dad put his fork down. Hard. He looked right at me and said, "You know why you're a failure? Because you rejected everything we taught you. You think you're better than us, living your little fantasy life. But all you've done is throw away every opportunity you were given." I froze. Mark leaned back, grinning. You'll come crawling back when you're broke and alone. My mom took a sip of her wine and actually laughed. Just admit it. You ruined your own life. We tried to help you, but you didn't want it. There was silence. Even the cousins looked uncomfortable. I picked up my wine glass, took a slow sip, and said, "Actually, I came here to tell you something important." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. I got this last week. It's an offer letter from the New York Museum of Modern Art. They're hiring me to lead a new contemporary arts program. Full-time salary. Relocation package. Health benefits. It's everything I've worked for. I opened the paper and slid it across the table. Everyone leaned in. My mom's face went pale. My dad stared at it like it was fake. Mark's smirk disappeared. Nobody spoke. And that's where I'll pause for now. There's more to this story. What happened after that moment? Oh yeah, it gets messy, eh? But I'll finish that in the next post. So there I was, sitting at the same dining table where I'd been made to feel like a mistake for most of my life, watching their expressions twist as they read that offer letter. I didn't say anything else. I let the silence do the talking for once. My grandmother, who had been mostly quiet, looked over her glasses and whispered, "New York." I nodded. Yeah. They reached out after seeing my installation at the gallery. I start next month. She smiled. God, she actually smiled. And I could see her eyes starting to water. I always knew you were going to do something special. That one sentence meant more to me than anything else that happened that day. But the rest of the table? Not so kind. My dad pushed his chair back and stood up slowly. You think this makes you better than us? No, I said, calm but firm. It just means I finally have something that's mine. You're running away, he barked, pointing at the paper like it was some kind of weapon. You always run away when things get hard. I ran because staying meant never being allowed to grow, I said. You don't support me. You never have. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Mark chuckled, not like a laugh, but that low, sarcastic kind of sound. Wow, he said. You seriously think this makes you successful? One job offer? You're moving to the most expensive city in the country with no real plan. That's not courage. That's stupidity. I looked at him. I have a signed contract. A salary. Benefits. And a place to live. You're just mad I did something without your help. He rolled his eyes. Don't act like you're not going to call Mom and Dad the minute you're short on rent. My mother suddenly stood up too. That's enough, she said, not to Mark, but to me. You come into our home on Thanksgiving and try to show off like you've finally made something of yourself. But you're still just that same little girl who walked out because she didn't want to listen. I stood too. No. I walked out because no one here ever listened to me. My dad slammed his hand on the table, hard. Plates rattled. Someone's glass tipped over. You're nothing without this family. And then, this part still stuns me, my uncle, quiet old Uncle Rick who never said anything beyond, pass the potatoes, suddenly speaks. She's more than you ever gave her credit for. The room went dead quiet again. My dad turned to him. Excuse me? Uncle Rick stood up, napkin in hand. I've seen her work. I've been to that gallery. She's not wasting her life. She's living it. You don't have to agree with her choices, but don't tear her down just because she didn't follow your blueprint. Now that shocked everyone. Even my cousin Laura, who never even talks at these things, nodded in agreement. Her work was the best thing in the whole exhibit, she said. It made me cry. I looked around. My brother looked like he'd been slapped. My dad's face was bright red. My mom just looked, confused. Like she couldn't believe people were siding with me. Then came the real kicker. Uncle Rick turned to me and said, "Tell them what the letter didn't say." I hesitated. I didn't want to bring it up, but I could see the curiosity burning into the room now. So I did. The museum didn't just offer me a job. They're giving me a solo exhibit. 6 months from now. All mine. It'll be the first time in their history they've given someone under 30 that opportunity. More silence. My dad sat down slowly, staring at his hands like they weren't his. My mom sank into her chair. Mark just scoffed and left the table. He didn't even look at me. I thought that would be the moment where I'd feel vindicated. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like I was finally showing them the truth, and they didn't know how to handle it. After a long pause, my mom whispered, "Why didn't you tell us earlier?" I laughed, not out of spite, but from sheer disbelief. Because the last time I told you I had a gallery show, you asked if it was in a mall. That shut her up. I picked up my coat and folded the letter back into the envelope. I didn't come here to fight. I just wanted you to hear it from me before I left. Are you even coming back? My dad asked. That question hung heavy in the air. I didn't answer it. Because honestly, I didn't know yet. If you're still here, thank you. I didn't expect so many people to read this. I thought maybe a few strangers would nod and move on, but the comments, the messages, they reminded me I'm not alone. So here's what happened after I left the table last Thanksgiving. And yeah, it got worse. And weirder. After I left my parents' house, I didn't go straight home. I drove to Folly Beach. It was freezing, pitch black, and probably not the safest idea, but I just needed to hear the water, be alone, and think. I sat there for maybe an hour, coat wrapped tight, the cold wind slapping my face, trying to make sense of everything that just happened. My family hadn't just rejected me, they'd shown me that they truly didn't know me. But Uncle Rick's words stuck with me. So did Laura's. Around midnight, I got a text. From a number I didn't recognize. You need to know the truth. About Mark. He's not who you think he is. I stared at it for a while. At first I thought it was a prank. But then another message came. Check the storage unit. 14B Redgate Mini Storage. He kept everything. Redgate Mini Storage was the facility near my brother's office. I used to pass it on the way to work. Part of me said to ignore it. Another part, the one that always felt something was off about Mark, told me I needed to go. The next morning, curiosity won. I pulled up to Redgate. It was a gray, squat building with rows of storage units lined up like tombstones. I wasn't even sure I'd get in, but when I got to 14B, the padlock was missing. The door slid open with a creak. What I saw inside stopped me cold. Boxes. Dozens of them. All labeled with women's names. Claire. Tasha. Rebecca. Even Sophie, his wife. There were photos. Emails printed out. Old receipts. Hotel bookings. It was like a personal archive of his double life. The more I looked, the worse it got. He had been cheating on his wife for years. Not just casual stuff, whole second relationships. Gifts. Cards. Romantic weekend trips. Some of the letters looked like he was planning to leave Sophie at one point. And it wasn't just cheating. There were bank statements showing secret accounts. One of them had a ridiculous amount of money in it, money he had somehow hidden from Sophie and possibly even from the IRS. I recognized our uncle's company logo on some documents too. He was funneling money through the business. I took pictures of everything. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped my phone twice. When I got home, I sat in my car for what felt like an hour. I didn't know what to do. This wasn't just a family scandal. This was criminal. It explained so much, the smugness, the judgment, the superiority. He was hiding a whole second life, and I was the disappointment. I couldn't hold it in. I called Sophie. We weren't close. We'd never been. But she answered on the second ring. I told her everything. Slowly, clearly, and offered to show her the photos. There was silence for a long time. Then she said, I know. I blinked. What? I've known for a while. But I couldn't prove it. I had no idea it was this bad though, her voice cracked. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. That call was 2 hours long. We talked about everything. His lies, the way he manipulated her, and how he'd always been protected by the family, how they'd made excuses for him, just like they made attacks against me. It made sense. My parents needed a golden child so badly that they'd rather pretend Mark was perfect and I was the failure. It was easier than facing the truth. But I still hadn't figured out who sent me that text. Then it hit me. Uncle Rick. He was the only one who knew enough to drop a breadcrumb like that. And when I called him and asked directly, he didn't even deny it. I couldn't say anything in front of your parents, he said. They'd never forgive me. But someone needed to know. I sat in silence. Then he said, I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. But I'm glad you did. So now I'm sitting with this information. A full-blown family secret that could destroy everything. And honestly, I'm torn. Do I expose it? Tell the whole family what Mark's been doing? Or do I walk away for good, start over in New York, and let them keep pretending? I haven't decided yet. But that Thanksgiving, I thought the big moment was showing them the letter. Turns out, it was just the beginning. A week passed after the Thanksgiving disaster and the discovery of my brother's secret life. During that time, I kept quiet. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't confront Mark. I just sat with the weight of it all. It was like walking around with a live grenade in my pocket. Every interaction felt fake. Every memory of him felt poisoned. But it couldn't stay buried forever. The final blow came when Sophie showed up at my apartment. I opened the door and there she was, no makeup, hoodie, her eyes swollen from crying. She didn't ask to come in. She just handed me a small stack of printed screenshots. Emails. Conversations between Mark and my dad. They'd known. For at least a year. They knew what Mark was doing. And they helped cover it up. I can't describe the noise that came out of me. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't crying. It was both. That was the moment I decided it was over. I called my grandmother first. She deserved to hear it from me. I told her everything, about the storage unit, the money, the cheating, the fact that our own family helped keep it quiet. She listened. Quiet. Soft breathing on the other end. When I was done, she said, you need to tell them. All of them. So I did. I told everyone. I took those screenshots, printed them out, added the photos from the storage unit, and dropped off sealed envelopes at my parents' house, Mark's, even our church pastor's mailbox. Then I waited. It all exploded 3 days later. The family group chat went insane. Calls I didn't answer. Voicemails ranging from furious to devastated. And then my mom called. I can't believe you did this, she said, voice shaking with fury. I can't believe you didn't, I replied. You ruined this family. No. Mark did. And you helped him. She hung up. Later that evening, my grandmother hosted a family talk. She wanted everyone under one roof. One last time. I didn't want to go, but something told me I had to. When I walked into her house, it was dead silent. My dad stood in the corner, arms crossed. Mark sat on the couch, eyes puffy. Sophie was next to him, but on the far end, miles away in body language. My mother stood near the kitchen, pale and shaking. My aunt and uncle were already seated, holding hands. Cousins lined the walls, awkward and tense. Uncle Rick gave me a nod. My grandmother stood in the center like a judge in an old courtroom. She motioned for me to speak. So I did. I laid it all out. Calmly. No shouting. Just truth. When I finished, my father stepped forward, pointing at me again. You have no idea what you've done. Family is supposed to protect each other. I looked at him. So protecting your son while he cheated, lied, and laundered money is what family means to you? Mark stood. I made mistakes, all right? But you didn't have to burn everything down. Sophie cut in, voice hoarse but steady. No, Mark. You did that. You did it when you slept with 3 different women while I was pregnant with your second child. The room went cold. Mark sat down. Hard. My mom started crying. Ugly, heavy sobs. My dad just left. No words. Walked out the front door. I haven't seen him since. There were no screams after that. Just silence. And that silence said everything. Sophie left him that night. Took the kids, went to her sister's. My mom tried to text me the next day. Just please stop and nothing else. I didn't reply. The fallout was massive. My uncle fired Mark from the company. The IRS was apparently already looking into some things. I don't know how far it's gone, but I'm staying out of that part now. My grandmother called me a week later. She cried. Told me she was proud of me, even if it all hurt. She said, it had to come out. Even if it came out ugly. She's right. It's been 2 months since all this happened. I'm in New York now. The job is real, the apartment is tiny, and I've never felt more like myself. I still think about them. My mom. My dad. Even Mark. It's not like the pain vanished. But something's different. I used to carry this shame, like I owed them something for being different. For choosing my own path. But now? I realize the only thing I owe them is honesty. And I gave them that, whether they wanted it or not. I still talk to Uncle Rick. He checks in every week. My grandmother sent me a framed print of one of my own paintings for Christmas. It made me cry. Sophie and I aren't friends exactly, but we text sometimes. She sends photos of the kids. She says they're adjusting. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if my mom will ever speak to me again. I don't know if I'll ever be welcome back in that house. But I know this, sometimes the truth wrecks everything. But sometimes it also sets you free. I may have lost a family. But I found myself. And that's enough for now.